There's a lit candle on top of a book on the cover. My aunt, who has a bookstore, would have a meltdown and never allow you anywhere near her products again. Hi folks, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kat, and today I would like to talk about Tall Tales Secret Book Club, the first one in the Secret Library Cozy Mystery series by CeeCee James. Laura Lee starts working on the estate of Miss Janice Thornberry, and not long after, the chauffeur gets killed. With a treasure and their jobs at stake, Laura Lee and the other employees try to solve the crime and find the missing crown that could solve all of Miss Janice's financial worries. Well, and save their jobs in the process. The book started out well. I will just read you the very first paragraph. If ever a house had a name, this one would be called Fortitude. I noticed it the first day I arrived, though the beautiful pillars, the spacious foyer, and the deep walnut hand-hewn floors spoke of a decadence only the very elite experienced. An observant eye discovered the fabrications. Cracks, rotting roof tiles, moss, tiny details that spoke of years of neglect, and an indulgent staff who catered to the owner's mistaken beliefs that all was well. So I have to say, just with this first paragraph, it read like it would be a level above the average cozy mystery, at the very least regarding the writing. And the writing is quite nice as long as you're talking about the setting, because the estate is described in detail and very well. It almost reminds me of gothic horror instead, but it's cozier than that, obviously. So the setting and the mood is described very well, but not so much for the characters and the actual plot. I'll get to that in a second. The other really nice aspect was the treasure hunt, even though the cat solves most of that for Laura. Maybe you can tell from the bit that I've read out, this seems to play in a different time and age. At least from the writing and the way that the characters behave, you would think that you're in the Victorian age. And some of the stuff that they say also has like almost Handmaid's Tale vibes to it, which is really strange because it does play in the modern day and age. At some point they talk about Googling something, so they are in the present day more or less. But the way they behave towards Miss Janice and in other areas as well just makes you think you're in a different time. It's a very weird mismatch between what you'd expect in the modern day and how they behave at points. For instance, books are not allowed in this house because Miss Janice has issues. Let's just leave it at that. There's more to it and it gets explained in the book, but she doesn't want books in the house. So she burned all of the ones that they did have beforehand, which is already, burning books has a certain ring to it that maybe you want to stay away from in general, but okay. But the employees saved some of them, which is how you get to the secret library. They stashed them all in some secret room, of which this house has many, and they meet up from time to time for book club. Which brings me to my biggest question in regard to this actual library. If you have a book club, then I would have to assume that at absolute best you have 2 books of each story, right? Maybe you have a special edition or something, but I would expect 1 or 2 books of each story maybe in this library, provided they could save all of those books. But then if you have like 8 people in this book club, how do you hand this book around if it can't be seen around the estate? And they don't seem to have any electronics either. Nobody is listening to music, watching TV, or ever uses a laptop, so they seem to have traveled back in time as soon as they step on the estate. So I'm not sure how people actually get to read this book for the book club in time. More on the negative side, there are too many characters for what is happening in the story. So the employees on the estate alone. There is Laura Lee, there is the chauffeur that gets killed, there is Stephen the gardener, I think his name is Eric, I don't know what he does, but I think Eric works on the estate as well. There's Marguerite, there's Cook, who's actually the cook, her name just lines up with that. There's Butler, his name is not Butler, but we have no idea what he's actually called. There's Mary, Lucy, Jennifer, Jessie and Janet. if you're already confused with the last three at the very least, then yeah, that's why you maybe should pick more, you know, distinctive names for your characters at points, because people might get confused. And as I said, for the writing, the house and the setting gets more attention than the characters as such. I can't tell you anything about some of the characters, say Jennifer. I have no idea. I could tell you more about the estate because it gets more attention. It also makes me wonder how dire the financial situation can really be if you have this many employees but your house is falling apart around you. You know, maybe you cut down on employees and actually fix the plumbing instead, but I don't know, I never had to manage a house with what feels like 20 employees. So. And then possibly one of the oddest choices is the killer never actually appears on the page. They don't have a single line, they don't show up in a single scene, they only ever get talked about. I think this is a first for cozy mystery, for me at least. There was a cat on the cover and it had Secret Library in the title, so I was interested. But the Secret Library is nowhere near as magical as I would have hoped. It's more of a book club. And I just can't get over the mismatch between how they behave, both in general and towards Miss Janice, with absolute devotion and deference, in the modern age. Like, this is something I would expect in a Victorian cozy mystery, maybe, but from somebody in the last 10 years, in a story that plays, I don't know, somewhere in the last 10 years at the very least, I suppose. I don't know, it's just weird. And then, you know, too many characters with too little characterization, especially opposed to the estate. So I'm afraid it's this cat and a paw. The cat was very helpful though. But it's also a red flag. If your employer hates books and cats, then... Oh, and children. Yeah, so Miss Janice really has a beef with a lot of things. Really strange. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to help this channel out. And let me know what is your favorite book or book series that features an actual secret library. Thank you so much for your time. I'll be back next week with another video. Bye folks!